Commander Elias Kane sat in the cockpit of his starfighter, eyes scanning the endless black of space. The debris of destroyed Zetherian ships floated past like frozen ghosts. The war had lasted for decades, and humans had finally gained the upper hand in this remote sector. Yet even in victory, Elias felt no joy. War left nothing but emptiness. "Command, this is Kane. The sector is secure. No further resistance detected," he reported, his voice steady but hollow. "Copy that, Kane. Return to base for debriefing," came the voice of Admiral Voss, cold and businesslike. "Good work," Elias acknowledged with a nod, though the words felt hollow. He powered down the fighter and prepared to descend to the planet below, a barren world littered with the wreckage of Scytherian war machines. As his boots hit the ground, the stench of smoke and scorched metal filled his senses. His squad moved in formation, scanning the area for survivors or threats. Most of the Zetherian forces had been wiped out in the battle, leaving behind silence and ruin. "Clear over here," one of his soldiers called. "Nothing but dead ships and wreckage." Elias kept moving, his boots crunching against blackened soil. Then something unusual caught his eye. Among the debris of a destroyed Zetherian hovercraft, a small metallic shell pulsed faintly. Curiosity pushed him closer. It was an egg unlike anything he had seen. Its surface shimmered with an iridescent glow, and faint rhythmic vibrations suggested life within. "Sir," one of his soldiers said, hesitant, "we should leave it. Probably just another alien trap." Elias shook his head. "No, this is alive. It's not a weapon. We can't just leave it." The squad exchanged uneasy glances. They were soldiers trained to kill, not nurture. But Elias was not just a soldier. He was a human who believed in the value of life, even that of an enemy. As he reached for the egg, a sudden crack appeared on its surface. A tiny alien head emerged, blinking with wide, curious eyes. The creature's skin was smooth and faintly translucent, and it let out a soft, almost musical chirp. Elias felt a strange pang in his chest. The child looked defenseless, innocent. His instincts screamed that it needed protection. "Commander, what do we do?" another soldier asked, voice tight with tension. Elias held the alien carefully, cradling it against his chest. "We protect it, always. No one hurts this child." "Not while I'm here." The squad remained silent. Some frowned, some looked uneasy, but none questioned their commander further. Elias had made a decision, and he would stand by it. That night, Elias set up a small camp among the ruins. The alien child, which he began calling Lyra, nestled against him, making soft cooing sounds that reminded him of human babies. Despite her alien appearance, there was something familiar in her curiosity and innocence. "Don't worry, little one," he whispered, his voice low and gentle. "I'll keep you safe." As the hours passed, he noticed something remarkable. Lyra's eyes seemed to understand him. She mirrored his emotions, tilting her head in curiosity when he spoke and making sounds that felt almost like words. Elias realized she was intelligent, far beyond what humans had expected from Zetherians, but protecting her would not be simple. The human military would never approve. Carrying an enemy lifeform would be considered treason, and the Zetherians, if they discovered her missing, would hunt them relentlessly. Elias's mind raced with possibilities. He could leave her here and return to his squad, claiming victory, but he couldn't. He had made a promise to himself and to life that he would protect her. At dawn, the faint light revealed the true scale of destruction. Craters scarred the surface, wreckage burned quietly in the morning haze. Elias packed what little supplies he had and prepared to move. Lyra clung to him, her tiny limbs surprisingly strong, her gaze unwavering. "All right, little one. We're leaving this place," he said softly. "You're coming with me." The journey back to human space was perilous. Elias knew Zetherian patrols still roamed nearby, and his squad had orders to regroup at the nearest base. Traveling alone would be dangerous, but he had no choice. Lyra's life depended on him. For days they moved through desolate planets and asteroid fields, always staying ahead of potential threats. Elias taught Lyra basic survival skills, though mostly she learned by observation. Her intelligence amazed him. She could open simple containers, mimic sounds, and even anticipate his movements. One night, as they rested in the shadow of a rocky cliff, Elias studied her closely. Her eyes reflected the stars above, and for a moment, he wondered what the Zetherians were like. He had fought them countless times, but never had he faced them in a way that revealed their vulnerability. Lyra was proof that even the fiercest enemy could have innocence. "You know," he said quietly, "you could make this easy for me. If you wanted, you could—" "I don't know. Call for help. But you don't. You trust me." Lyra tilted her head and made a soft trill. Elias smiled, feeling a bond growing stronger with every passing moment. He had never felt this connection before, not with humans, not with aliens. Something in him had shifted. By the third day, supplies were running low. Elias scavenged remnants of old colonies and abandoned stations. Each encounter tested his skills, and each time he succeeded, his respect for his own adaptability grew. Humanity had always survived through ingenuity and courage, and now he saw those qualities reflected in himself. One evening, while resting aboard an abandoned supply shuttle, a strange signal flickered on the console. It was not human. Elias frowned, trying to decipher it. The patterns were complex, almost musical. He realized it was a form of communication, possibly Zetherian. Lyra responded immediately, chirping back in the same sequence. Her eyes glowed faintly. Elias watched in awe as the little alien seemed to carry on a conversation, her first real one with him. "Impressive," he muttered. "You're learning fast. Smarter than any of them expected." But his awe was cut short. The signal had a secondary pattern, tracking coordinates. Someone had found them. Elias's chest tightened. The Zetherians would come and they would not be gentle. "We have to move," he said, urgency creeping into his voice. "They're coming." Lyra chirped once, as if she understood, and followed him closely. Together they escaped into an asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks with precision that only desperation could fuel. Hours later, exhausted but alive, Elias found a small, hidden moon to rest. He watched Lyra sleep, her tiny chest rising and falling peacefully. For the first time since the war began, he felt hope. Perhaps there was a future where humans and Zetherians could coexist, even if it started with just one child. Elias knew the journey ahead would be difficult. Human authorities would hunt him. Zetherian forces would pursue them. Yet as he cradled Lyra in the cold moonlight, he made a silent vow. No matter what the galaxy threw at them, he would protect her. He would defy both sides if he had to, because she was innocent, because she deserved life, and because humanity, his humanity, meant standing up for what was right even when no one else did. For the first time in years, Commander Elias Kane felt a purpose beyond war, and that purpose was more powerful than any weapon in the universe. Elias Kane had always trusted the human military. They had trained him, relied on him, and given him honor. Yet now every star system he crossed reminded him how fragile that trust really was. With Lyra, the Zetherian child, hidden safely under his coat, he became more than a soldier. He became a fugitive. The first warning came from a comm broadcast. "Kane, this is Admiral Voss. You are ordered to report to command immediately. Unauthorized possession of enemy life forms is strictly forbidden. This is your final warning." Elias frowned, holding Lyra close. The child chirped softly, her alien eyes curious but calm. He stroked her small head. "We can't go back," he whispered. "They'll take you from me. I won't let them." For the next few days they moved from planet to planet, keeping to abandoned settlements and hidden caves. Elias scavenged food and water, always careful to leave no trace. Each step was a risk, not only from human authorities but from Zetherian patrols still searching for their lost child. Elias learned quickly that survival was not just about fighting. It was about thinking, planning, and understanding both sides. He noticed the humans who feared or despised aliens. Their eyes would widen in fear or anger whenever he walked past. Lyra, however, seemed to sense their emotions differently. She mirrored their expressions, curious, not afraid. One evening they settled in an old human mining colony. Rusted buildings lined the crater of a dead volcano. Elias had found enough rations to last a week, and the place offered some cover. He taught Lyra to gather water, identify edible plants, and even hide herself when someone approached. She was learning faster than he could have imagined. "You're smart," Elias said quietly, "more than most soldiers I've served with." Lyra made a sound like a soft trill, tilting her head. She repeated a few of Elias's words in her own way, forming a strange mimicry of human language. "Elias Kane," she chirped. A smile broke across his face. The bond they shared was growing stronger, and Elias felt an unexpected warmth in his chest. He had not expected to care for an enemy child so deeply, but now he could not imagine leaving her. The real trouble began when human patrol ships appeared on nearby scans. Elias had hoped that staying hidden would protect them, but the reach of command was vast. "They'll find us," Elias said, scanning the monitors. "We need to move now." They slipped into the night using abandoned transport ships and secret tunnels. Elias had always excelled in strategy and tactics, but now the stakes were personal. Every choice mattered because Lyra's life depended on it. During one escape through a narrow asteroid corridor, they encountered a small human reconnaissance ship. Its sensors were active, and alarms blared when it detected their presence. Elias made a split-second decision. "Hang on," he shouted, pushing Lyra down into the ship's small storage compartment. He maneuvered the shuttle with precise control, dodging asteroids and returning fire only when necessary. Within minutes they were gone, leaving the patrol ship scanning the empty corridor in frustration. "Good job," Elias whispered as he checked on Lyra. She chirped in response, as if understanding. Despite the danger, Elias found brief moments of calm. He shared stories of Earth, of human cities, mountains, and oceans. Lyra listened intently, tilting her head as though she were trying to imagine it all. In return, she shared small glimpses of her world, though the language and sounds were alien. Elias could not understand her fully, but he felt the meaning behind her gestures. However, it was not long before rumors reached him. Traders passing through the sector had whispered about a rogue human carrying a Zytherian child. Elias realized that the moment he had taken Lyra, he had become the most wanted man in several systems. One night, while resting on a quiet moon, Elias heard footsteps approaching. He crouched low, hand on his blaster. Lyra peeked out from behind a rock, curious. "Stay quiet," he whispered. The footsteps stopped. A voice called softly, "Commander Kane?" "We mean no harm." Elias's heart raced. Slowly he stood, blaster raised but ready to lower it. Out stepped a young woman in civilian clothing. "I'm Tessa, a trader. I've heard rumors about you and the child. I can help." Elias studied her carefully. Trust was dangerous now, but desperation left him little choice. "Explain," he said. Tessa smiled faintly. "I move through places command cannot reach. I can provide supplies, false papers, and even transport to distant sectors. In exchange, I ask only for safe passage." Elias nodded. He had no other option. Over the next few days, Tessa helped them, providing rations, communication jammers, and old ship logs to create a false identity. Lyra thrived in the new environment, exploring the ship and even mimicking some of Tessa's gestures. Yet, danger was never far. One day, sensors picked up a fleet approaching, a human strike team sent to capture Elias. Panic surged through him. They could not fight a fleet in open space. "They had to hide. Follow me," Elias ordered. Using a nearby asteroid field, they slipped between massive rocks and shadows. Lyra's small form clung to his side, her alien senses alerting them to incoming threats. Hours later, they emerged in a quiet sector. Elias breathed deeply. "That was too close," he said. Lyra chirped softly as if agreeing, but while they had survived, the situation weighed on him. The humans he once served with now hunted him. He could not return to Earth or any human colony, and yet he could not abandon Lyra no matter how dangerous it became. During a rare quiet night, Elias looked at the stars with Lyra in his arms. She cooed softly, reaching a small hand toward him. Elias smiled, feeling both fear and hope. "You and I," he whispered, "we're alone in this, but we'll survive. Somehow, I promise." In the following days, Elias began teaching Lyra more than survival. He taught her about human emotions, about compassion, and about choices. He showed her the value of empathy, even when faced with hatred. Lyra absorbed everything quickly, her intelligence far beyond any ordinary child. One evening, while teaching her to read basic symbols, Elias realized something remarkable. Lyra was beginning to understand human concepts, friendship, loyalty, and even courage. She grasped the meaning of right and wrong, and her small eyes reflected understanding and curiosity. Elias felt a surge of pride. Humanity's strengths, reason, compassion, and intelligence were now mirrored in this child, even in someone so different. He saw proof that the universe could change if beings could understand one another. But the respite was brief. On a distant planet, while scavenging for supplies, Elias spotted a Zetherian patrol ship. They had found them. His heart pounded as he grabbed Lyra. "Run," he whispered. Together they darted through narrow canyons and tunnels. Lyra's small size and agility allowed her to move quickly, but Elias was always one step behind, ensuring she was safe. Hours later, exhausted and hiding in an abandoned cave, Elias let out a long breath. Lyra curled up beside him, her tiny body warm against his chest. He whispered softly, "They're coming for you. They'll never stop searching, but I'll never let them take you. I promise, Lyra, I will protect you, no matter what." That night, Elias realized the truth. He had once been a soldier fighting for orders. Now he fought for life itself, not for victory, not for glory, but for the protection of an innocent child, an enemy child no less. In that quiet moment, under the cold light of distant stars, Elias understood something profound. Humanity's greatest strength was not weapons or technology. It was compassion, courage, and the willingness to stand for what was right, even when it was dangerous. Lyra stirred in her sleep, her small hand brushing against his face. Elias smiled, feeling a new purpose burning in his chest. He would survive not for himself but for her, and in protecting her he would show that humanity could rise above war, above fear, above hatred. The galaxy might see him as a fugitive. The Zetherians might see him as an enemy. But in that moment, Elias Kane was something greater, a guardian, a protector, and a human willing to defy the stars themselves for life and honor. Elias Kane had thought the greatest danger came from human authorities, but nothing could have prepared him for the presence of the Zetherian Queen. It began with a signal, alien, vast, and impossibly intelligent. While Elias and Lyra traveled through a remote sector, a massive energy pulse passed over their ship. Lyra chirped urgently, her body glowing faintly as she reacted to the signal. Elias's stomach tightened. This was no ordinary patrol ship. This was something far older, far more dangerous. The next day, a massive ship appeared before them. Its size dwarfed anything Elias had ever seen. Sleek, black, and iridescent, it pulsed with an alien rhythm that seemed almost alive. The ship's surface shimmered as though it were breathing, and at its center a colossal figure emerged, the Zetherian Queen. She descended onto the nearest moon, her presence overwhelming. She was taller than any human, her skin shifting colors like living liquid, her eyes glowing with intelligence and authority. Her gaze fell on Elias, and he felt as though she could see into his very soul. "You have my child," she said, her voice resonating in a way that humans could barely comprehend. It was more than sound. It was understanding, expectation, and command all at once. Elias stood his ground, holding Lyra protectively. "She is safe," he replied, his voice steady despite the fear curling in his stomach. "I promised I would protect her, and I will." The Queen's gaze softened slightly, then sharpened again. "Humans are strange," she said. "You kill my people without thought, yet you protect one of my own." "Why?" Elias swallowed. He could not speak of humanity's mistakes, the wars, the deaths. But he could speak of choices. Because she is innocent. Because life matters. Because humanity can be better than hate. The Queen tilted her head as if considering his words. Lyra chirped softly, curling into Elias's arms. Her small form radiated trust, and even the Queen seemed affected by it. "You are defiant," she said finally. "Defiance against your own kind and against mine." "This is unusual," Elias nodded. "I will not hand her over unless it is safe for her. I will not be forced to choose between survival and honor." For hours, the Queen observed him, her alien intelligence probing his mind without words. Elias felt exposed, but he did not falter. He had faced human superiors, Zetherian soldiers, in the harshest battles in the galaxy. He could face her too. Finally, she spoke. "You are different from others. Humans are predictable. But your mind is sharp, your heart is strange. You do not act for power or fear. You act for choice, for life." Elias blinked. He had never considered that a Zetherian could understand humans so deeply. "I am human," he said simply. "That's all I can be." The Queen's eyes glimmered. "Then perhaps that is enough." Despite the tension, Elias sensed a sliver of understanding. He realized the Queen was not here to destroy him. At least not yet. She was here to see if he was worthy of protecting her child, if he was truly different. Over the next few days, Elias and the Queen communicated in a strange mixture of human language, Lyra's chirps, and alien gestures. Elias explained his journey, his choices, and his promise. The Queen listened, observing how he treated Lyra with respect and care. "You risk everything," she said. "Your kind would see you punished for this. Yet you continue. Why?" Elias looked at Lyra, asleep in her small cradle aboard his ship. "Because it is right. Because someone must. Because humanity is more than war and fear. We can choose to protect life, even when it is not ours." The Queen's expression shifted. She had expected fear, negotiation, maybe even trickery. Instead, she saw courage, intelligence, and a moral code that rivaled her own. "You are fascinating," she admitted. "I would not have believed that a human could act so purely. Perhaps my child is fortunate to have found you." Elias's chest tightened. He had not thought of himself as lucky. He had thought only of duty. But now he saw that this encounter could change more than his life. It could change the perception of humanity in the galaxy. Yet the Queen remained cautious. "I will not take my child now," she said. "But you must understand, our people will search. You cannot hide forever." "I know," Elias replied. "We survive, we move, and we protect. That is all I can do," Lyra chirped, responding to the Queen. Elias realized the child was attempting communication beyond mere imitation. She was speaking in her own way to her mother. The Queen observed quietly, her vast mind processing the interaction. Elias saw no malice in her eyes, only curiosity, caution, and a growing respect. She turned to leave but paused. "Commander Kane," she said, her voice echoing in his mind. "If you continue to protect her, if you continue to act with honor and courage, know this: you will not go unnoticed. The galaxy watches those who choose life over destruction. Even I watch you now." With that, she vanished, leaving Elias and Lyra alone under the starlight. Elias exhaled, feeling the weight of responsibility heavier than ever. For the first time, he realized that protecting Lyra was not just about evading humans or Zetherians. It was about proving that humanity could rise above conflict, fear, and hatred, that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, humans could act with honor, compassion, and courage. He spent the next days teaching Lyra more complex concepts. He showed her how to navigate star charts, recognize human customs, and understand morality. Lyra absorbed everything with astonishing speed, demonstrating intelligence far beyond her years or her species' expectations. But danger was never far. Sensors picked up rogue Zetherian patrols in nearby systems. Elias knew the Queen's presence had stirred her forces. They were searching, not to negotiate, but to retrieve the child. And if they failed, consequences could be deadly. One evening, while hiding in the shadow of an asteroid field, Elias prepared for a possible confrontation. He equipped weapons, shields, and defenses, though he hoped he would never need them. His priority was not destruction, it was survival and protection. Lyra nestled close, her small hand resting on his arm. Elias felt a deep bond forming, one that transcended species, politics, and war. He realized that what he was doing was more than a mission. It was creating a bridge between two worlds. Suddenly, Lyra's eyes glowed brightly. She chirped urgently, and Elias followed her gaze to a small alien ship approaching from behind the asteroids. They were too small to be the Queen's flagship, likely scouts, but they meant trouble. Elias activated the ship's stealth systems, weaving through the asteroids to evade detection. The small alien ship gave chase, firing energy pulses that left trails of light in the void. Elias returned fire only when necessary, disabling the ship without harming the alien crew. As the danger passed, Elias breathed deeply. He realized something important: the galaxy was watching and his actions mattered. Every choice he made could set an example, not only for humans but for aliens as well. At night, he looked at Lyra asleep in the cockpit. "We're in this together," he whispered. "No matter who hunts us, no matter who doubts us, we'll survive, and we'll show them what humanity can be." Elias knew the Queen would return. Her curiosity was boundless, and she respected strength, intelligence, and courage. But he also knew that if he acted with honor and compassion, he could prove that humanity was capable of greatness, even in the eyes of its most alien enemies. Lyra stirred, chirping softly. Elias smiled. She was not just a child, she was hope, a living symbol of what could happen when understanding and courage overcame fear. And he was her protector, her shield, and her human connection to a universe that had only known war and distrust. Elias looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. The Queen, the humans, the rogue Zetherians all would challenge them. Yet he felt a sense of purpose he had never known before. In that moment, Commander Elias Kane made a silent vow. No matter what the galaxy demanded, he would protect Lyra. No matter the danger, he would stand. And no matter the odds, he would show that humanity could rise above hatred, fear, and war. One choice, one life, one act of courage at a time. The journey had only begun, but Elias knew this. The story of a human protecting the child of his enemy would not end in silence. The galaxy would notice, and when it did, humanity would be remembered. Not for the wars it fought, but for the life it chose to protect. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and Commander Elias Kane knew it better than most. After his encounter with the Zetherian Queen, he understood one thing clearly. Survival meant more than skill or firepower. It meant trust, cunning, and courage, even when dealing with enemies. Days after the Queen had left, a new threat appeared, one that neither humans nor Zetherians could face alone. Rogue alien factions, exiled from their own worlds, began attacking human colonies and Zetherian outposts alike. Their cruelty was indiscriminate, their technology advanced, and their numbers frightening. Elias received the warning through a small communications channel intercepted from a neutral trade hub. The rogue faction intended to attack a nearby planet where humans and Zetherians coexisted in fragile peace. The planet's defenses were weak, and innocent lives would be lost. He turned to Lyra, who sat beside him in the shuttle. Her eyes were bright, reflecting both curiosity and understanding. Even at her young age, she grasped the gravity of the situation. "They'll kill them if we do nothing," Elias said softly. "We can't let that happen," Lyra chirped softly, tilting her head as though agreeing. Elias nodded. Together they prepared to act. But Elias knew he could not do it alone. He needed the Queen, and though she had tested him, she had not yet trusted him fully. He activated a secure channel to her, transmitting a simple message. "Rogue threat approaching. Innocent lives at risk. Need cooperation." Hours passed without a response. Elias moved cautiously, keeping Lyra close and scanning the sector for any signs of the rogue fleet. When the Queen finally responded, her presence was immediate and commanding. "You call upon me?" she asked. "Why should I intervene on behalf of those who are not my concern?" Elias met her gaze through the communication feed. "Because the innocent suffer whether we act or not. And because if you refuse, humanity will. We can fight together or countless lives will be lost. You taught me that courage and intelligence matter. Now I ask you to act with them." The Queen's eyes glimmered. For a moment there was silence. Then she spoke, her tone measured but curious. "You are audacious human, but I see truth in your words. Perhaps we shall act together." Elias felt a spark of hope. "We don't have time to waste. Let's coordinate." Over the next few hours, Elias and the Queen shared strategies, combining human ingenuity with Zetherian technology. Elias was struck by how different their approach was. Humans relied on improvisation and adaptability, while Zetherians depended on precision and coordination. When combined, the two methods created a force unlike any the rogue faction had faced before. Lyra watched closely as her mother, the Queen, gave commands to her fleet. She chirped in response, demonstrating intelligence and understanding beyond her years. Elias smiled. Humanity had taught her empathy and reasoning. The Queen now taught her strategy and leadership. Together they were bridging a gap that had seemed impossible. When the battle began, Elias led the vanguard, moving his small fleet with precision and daring. Lyra remained under his care, safely inside the command shuttle. The Queen's massive flagship hovered above, directing her forces with surgical accuracy. The rogue fleet struck hard, but the combined humans and Zetherians were prepared. Elias anticipated their maneuvers, using clever traps and tactical feints that forced the rogues into vulnerable positions. The Queen's fleet struck with overwhelming force, neutralizing the enemy's reinforcements. During the battle, Elias maneuvered his ship through dangerous zones, saving both human and Zetherian lives. He coordinated with the Queen, calling out enemy movements and anticipating attacks. Lyra watched the screens, absorbing every detail. Even in chaos, she learned the value of planning, courage, and calm thinking. Hours later, the rogue faction was defeated. Ships fled, systems stabilized, and the innocent were safe. Humans and Zetherians had survived together, not because one side dominated, but because both had acted with intelligence, courage, and trust. After the battle, Elias and the Queen met again on a neutral station. The Queen regarded him thoughtfully, her massive form towering yet graceful. "You have done well, human," she said. "Not only did you protect life, but you acted with wisdom and bravery. You have proven." "Remarkable," Elias bowed slightly. "I did what I had to do. Humanity does not shy away from protecting the innocent, no matter the cost." The Queen's gaze softened. "Perhaps I misjudged your species. Perhaps there is more in humanity than mere violence and war. You have earned my respect, Commander Kane." Lyra chirped happily, her small form bouncing slightly. Elias smiled down at her. She had witnessed the alliance firsthand, learning the values of courage, empathy, and intelligence from both her human protector and her alien mother. The Queen continued, her tone measured but sincere. "I claim no ownership over you, human. But know this, you are acknowledged. Your actions will not be forgotten, neither by my people nor by mine." Elias felt a strange pride. He had risked everything for the child, and in doing so, he had earned the respect of an entire alien species, not through dominance or fear, but through courage, intelligence, and moral strength. Humanity had proven itself once again. Over the next weeks, Elias worked with both humans and Zetherians to repair the damage caused by the rogue faction. He mediated disputes, coordinated relief efforts, and ensured Lyra remained safe and learning. She grew rapidly, absorbing knowledge from humans and Zetherians alike, becoming a living symbol of understanding and cooperation. Elias noticed something remarkable during this time. The humans he worked with began to change their perception of the Zetherians. Fear and hatred gave way to respect, inspired by Elias's example. They saw that courage and compassion were not weaknesses but strengths. Humanity could protect, understand, and coexist with even the most alien of species. The Queen observed quietly, sometimes offering advice, sometimes silently approving Elias's choices. Elias realized that she had come to trust him, not as a soldier or subordinate, but as an equal, a being who acted with honor, intelligence, and courage. One evening, while observing the stars with Lyra on the station balcony, Elias reflected on the journey so far. The child had changed his life in ways he could never have imagined. She had taught him patience, empathy, and responsibility beyond war. In protecting her, he had not only defended a life but elevated humanity's place in the galaxy. Lyra chirped, pointing at a distant star system. Elias followed her gaze. "You want to go there?" he asked, smiling. She nodded, tilting her head. "Soon," he said. "But first we make sure everyone here is safe. Then we continue our journey." That night, Elias made a silent vow. No matter the dangers ahead, he would continue to protect Lyra. He would continue to show courage, intelligence, and compassion in a galaxy that often valued power over principle. Humanity's true strength was revealed not in war, but in the choices to protect, to understand, and to rise above fear. And as he watched the stars, Elias knew that the alliance formed that day, between human courage and Zetherian wisdom, would change the galaxy forever. The Queen had tested him, and he had proven himself worthy. But the journey was far from over. The universe was vast, filled with unknown threats, and Elias knew that new challenges awaited. Yet for the first time he felt certain of one thing. With courage, honor, and humanity, no challenge was insurmountable. Lyra stirred in her sleep, and Elias smiled. She was more than a child. She was hope, a bridge between two worlds, a living symbol of the potential for understanding, and proof that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, life and honor could prevail. Elias Kane tightened his grip on the rail, looking out at the stars. He was a soldier, a protector, and now, a symbol of humanity's greatest strength. In the vastness of space, where enemies lurked and danger never slept, he understood something profound. Humanity could rise above fear, hatred, and war. Humanity could stand for life, for courage, and for understanding. And through his choices, Elias Kane had proven it. The galaxy had watched, and humanity had been seen, not as conquerors, but as protectors, thinkers, and heroes. The galaxy had seen many wars, many battles, and many heroes, but few stories compared to the tale of Commander Elias Kane, the human who protected the child of his enemy. Months had passed since the rogue faction was defeated. Elias and Lyra had traveled to distant star systems, avoiding human authorities and Zetherian patrols alike. They had grown stronger, wiser, and closer. Lyra's intelligence had grown rapidly, and she now understood not just human words but emotions, strategy, and morality. She had become a symbol not just of the fragile bond between humans and Zetherians, but of hope. But Elias knew the final test was approaching. Secure transmission reached him from the Zetherian Queen. The message was brief, direct, and powerful. "Return to my world, it is time. You will be recognized." Elias's heart pounded. Recognition from the Queen was more than a formality. It was a statement to the galaxy. Humans had always been seen as dangerous, impulsive, and warlike. Yet here, one human's choices could rewrite perceptions. Lyra chirped excitedly, sensing his anticipation. Elias smiled, lifting her into his arms. "We do this together, little one," he said. The journey to the Zetherian homeworld was filled with reflection. Elias thought of the battles, the flight through hostile space, the endless nights keeping Lyra safe. He thought of humanity, its mistakes, its courage, and its capacity for compassion. And he thought of Lyra, the child who had changed everything. Finally, the immense Zetherian city appeared before him. Floating towers of iridescent crystal stretched into the sky, shimmering in colors no human eye had names for. The air vibrated with the hum of advanced technology, and the streets below were filled with Zetherians, moving with precision and grace. Elias's shuttle descended to a central plaza. Waiting for him was the Queen, immense and majestic, her skin shimmering in liquid light. Her eyes glowed softly, conveying intelligence and understanding far beyond any human. "You have come," she said, her voice resonating in his mind. "You have traveled far, faced dangers beyond measure, and protected life without hesitation. You have acted with courage and honor." Elias bowed respectfully. "I did what I had to do. Humanity values life, and I could not abandon it, even if it meant facing my own people or yours." The Queen studied him for a long moment. Then she spoke words Elias could never forget. "You are human, yet you are more. You have shown that your species can rise above fear, hatred, and war. You have earned recognition, not just from me, but from all who witness your actions." At her gesture, Lyra chirped happily and stepped forward. The Queen knelt slightly, her vast form towering yet gentle. She extended a hand toward Elias. "In acknowledgement of your deeds, your courage, and your protection of life, I claim you symbolically as mine, not in ownership, but in trust and respect. You are a protector, an ally, and a bridge between our worlds." Elias felt a surge of pride tempered by humility. He had not acted for recognition or reward. He had acted because it was right. And yet this honor was more than any medal or title. It was acknowledgement of humanity's potential. The Queen continued, her voice echoing across the plaza. "Let this be known. The human who protected the life of my child has proven that courage, honor, and compassion exist even in the most alien of beings. Let all who doubt humanity witness this." Zetherians around the plaza paused, their attention fixed on Elias and Lyra. He saw eyes filled with curiosity, respect, and even admiration. These were beings who had once seen humans only as enemies, now witnessing proof of humanity's greatness. Lyra chirped again, stepping closer to Elias. She looked up at him and he smiled, feeling the bond between them stronger than ever. She had grown not only in size but in wisdom. She had learned trust, courage, and empathy from Elias, and in turn, she had taught him patience, responsibility, and the power of innocence. After the ceremony, Elias was led through the Zetherian city. He saw wonders beyond imagination, technology that bent space, communication devices that transmitted thought, and communities that functioned in perfect harmony. Yet despite the alien sophistication, what impressed him most was the respect shown to him. Humans were not just soldiers or invaders here, they were acknowledged as capable of honor. The Queen spoke privately with Elias later. "I have observed your kind for centuries," she said. "Many are aggressive, many are short-sighted, but you embody what we rarely see. Intelligence guided by compassion, courage guided by morality. Perhaps humanity is ready to step into a larger role in the galaxy." Elias nodded. Humans are flawed, yes, but we can learn. We can adapt, and when we act with honor, we can rise above the mistakes of the past. The Queen's eyes glimmered. Then perhaps it is time to forge a new alliance. Humans and Zetherians together, protecting life rather than destroying it. You will be the symbol of that alliance, human. Elias felt the weight of responsibility but also hope. He had never sought power or recognition. Yet now his actions could inspire cooperation between species, bridging centuries of mistrust. Over the following weeks, humans and Zetherians began joint missions, sharing technology, knowledge, and strategy. Elias traveled as an envoy, teaching humans the value of diplomacy and compassion, while showing Zetherians the strengths of human adaptability and courage. Lyra accompanied him, learning and teaching in her own way, a living symbol of cooperation and understanding. Elias noticed something extraordinary. Humans who once feared aliens began to trust them. Zetherians who had doubted humans now collaborated willingly. The galaxy was changing, slowly but visibly, and it all began with one human's choice to protect life rather than destroy it. In private moments, Elias reflected on Lyra's growth. She was no longer a child in the way he had first met her. She was a bridge, a symbol, and a being capable of understanding both worlds. He felt pride not just in her but in the human capacity he represented. The ability to rise above instinct, hatred and fear, to act with courage and honor. One evening, as Elias stood on a balcony overlooking the Zetherian city, Lyra perched on his shoulder. He thought about the journey that had brought them here. From the war-torn battlefields to fugitive life in human sectors, from standoffs with the Queen to joint battles against rogue factions, every challenge had tested him. Yet each trial had revealed humanity's best qualities: courage, intelligence, empathy, and the unwavering will to protect life. The Queen approached quietly, her presence both awe-inspiring and gentle. "You have changed the galaxy, Elias Kane," she said. "Not through conquest or dominance, but through choices, courage, and compassion. You have proven that humans can rise above fear and hatred. That is a legacy far greater than any war victory." Elias nodded, feeling the truth in her words. "I only did what was right. But I hope it inspires others. I hope humanity can continue to show the galaxy who we really are, not through fear but through action and honor." Lyra chirped softly, leaning against his neck. She had learned more than survival. She had learned empathy, cooperation, and the value of protecting life. And in teaching her, Elias had taught the galaxy about humanity. The Queen extended her hand again. "You will remain honored among my people, and your child, my child, will grow knowing that humans are capable of greatness. You have bridged a gap that centuries of conflict could not." Elias accepted her gesture, feeling the gravity of the moment. He was a human among aliens, a soldier among rulers, and a protector among warriors. Yet in that recognition he found purpose, pride, and hope. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and unknowns, but Elias Kane now knew that humanity had a place among the stars. Not as conquerors, not as oppressors, but as beings capable of courage, empathy, and wisdom. And through his choices, through his actions, he had proven it. As the stars twinkled overhead, Elias held Lyra close. Together they had survived, taught, and inspired. Together, they had changed perceptions, forged alliances, and shown that life, protected, cherished, and honored, was the true measure of greatness. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's courage. The galaxy had witnessed a human rise above fear and hatred. And through that single human's actions, the universe began to see what humans could truly be: heroes, protectors, and a force for honor and life. Elias Kane smiled, gazing at the infinite sky. The journey had begun with one small choice: to protect a child, and now that choice had changed the course of the galaxy. The story of humanity was no longer defined solely by war. It was defined by courage, compassion, and the strength to protect life against all odds.